Okay, this video I wanted to get in a little bit of theory about the scoot and why the scoot, why we think it's a good idea. And it's primarily for C gap run, but it can be applied wherever you want to apply it. Okay, I mean, it's a toolbox concept. So, what 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 the original C gap run was, and we're talking primarily, the scoot was primarily just to attack and get outside the three technique. Okay, when you just bang a right at an angle, block them on the angle that you found them, Howard Mudd, etc., and so on, your shoulders will turn, and you're gonna. If this guy runs to the sideline, you can't get outside of him, and the implications of that, of course, is you get run down. Okay, if there's an overhang, this guy will bend. He'll hit the back in the backfield. He's hanging for the quarterback. Squeeze and scrape the whole bit, all this stuff. Plus, putting the nose guard. The center's got to. If he's ripping and running, that's a hell of a block, and you wind up cut block, and you can't practice it. Everybody complains, etc., and so on. So that's the major reason why we don't do it that way. Okay, if you hook, okay, what it does is it shuts off the red light blockers. Okay, so for example, you can hook the three technique. I mean, everybody does it. Some people pin and pull, whatever. But if you pin and pull, it shuts off the center. He's got to find his way through, and sometimes a down block will wind up knocking the center off. A hook block shuts him off. He can't stay on the course to the read spot. Okay, he really can't. You can't hammer a hook block. I mean, what's he going to do? Hammer him? Okay, this guy's hooking him. They're going to be working against each other. So he gets that's supposed to be a U. He gets shut off. Okay, in this particular instance, it's just three in the center. Okay, hook block helps the backside a little bit because if you can run this guy into the hook block, but he's got to pierce to get the hell out of there. And if the linebacker goes over the top, the point backer, and he's assigned to him, he's going to have a hard time getting to him. They're going to be chasing him. Okay? But it does get you outside, and people do it, and I've seen it done, and my guys have done it. But what we did, and this was invented by Rodney Austin. Don't listen to anybody else. Rodney Austin at Elon University. I watched him. I couldn't figure out what he was doing. I started to look at it. And what he was doing was he was taking both feet and putting them in the bucket. And that got him square. And from there, he could tear. If it wound up being, if it turned into a yellow light, the center could hammer it. Okay, he could hammer the hole open. He could knock this thing open, okay, as opposed to here where he gets shut off. He could knock this thing over, okay, and even though we don't get outside the three technique, we're sending that thing to the sideline and creating a big space over here, okay. Or if the man ran with the guard and he got torn, he's tearing the hole open, and the center now has access to the step through, okay. So that's why we wanted to do it, okay. That was the reasoning behind it. I wanted to do it, I just didn't know how to do it until I started watching Rodney, okay. So Rodney was a big, strong dude, okay. He was a fierce football player. And I couldn't understand how he was getting square on the three technique until I started really looking at his feet. Okay, here's a normal brace step into the bucket. Okay, all the people that tell you you shouldn't step backwards. Okay, when you step backwards, your weight cannot transfer to that foot. Okay, because if your weight transfers, you will get knocked backwards. Okay, that's run or pass. You can't transfer the weight to that foot. So there's an element of what I call teeter, even on the single bucket step, the basic old brace step. Stole that from what the hell's his name? I forget. I'll remember it. He was a longtime Cincinnati Bengals. Paul. The name brace, because that's basically what you're doing. You're bracing against an attacking or two-gap defensive tackle. The problem was when you braced, okay, and you got shoved onto that foot, it was hard for you to get that foot over here, okay? Especially if you already committed to that. You couldn't get the cover that you wanted. You couldn't get in front of this guy. How do you get in front of a guy that's not in front of you is the basic question, okay? Well, after watching Rodney, what he was doing was he was bracing, and then he was following it. He was putting both feet in the same bucket, okay? And I didn't write that down, but I should have. So he was going 1, 2, okay? And what that was allowing him to do is step out of the bucket with the third step. But here's the thing. He was so massive, and he could coil his legs, and he was teetered. His weight was over or in front of his feet. Okay, and I could get up and give you a demo, but you really need people to do it against. Okay, you got to practice against guys that are moving. Okay, I never practiced this against anything, no dummies, nothing like that. Okay, we did the medicine balls for a few videos, but we really liked doing it. We would do it on Thursdays with the medicine balls or Mondays when we had no pads, but we really liked doing it against guys. But what that lets you do, both feet now, that they don't have to be parallel. They just have to get both feet behind your weight. Okay, behind your weight. There's my old BMW propeller center of gravity. Both feet have got to get behind you, teetered. Okay, so what's happening when you teeter? Okay, if you're standing straight like this and you get both feet behind you, you're going to fall unless you start moving forwards or somebody runs into you and holds you up. So we were using both of those things. What we were basically doing is getting an extension without actually going forward, because how do you get in front of somebody who's not in front of you? If you go forward, you're never going to get in front of him unless he two-gaps you. We wanted to get in front to get the ball outside the 3 technique, okay, if possible, okay? And if not possible, if the 3 technique wouldn't allow it, we wanted to be able to tear him, which if he's moving, of course, that's pretty easy to do. Okay, now, a guy that I've met, Mike Diaz, he skipped. He went 1, 2. I do that for certain things. When I feel like that stick won't hurt us. Okay, so double teaming on inside zone. If this was the guard and this was the tackle, I'll let them skip. It's faster. Okay, and I don't really care if I get beat this way. But that's a long stick with the ball going right here. And, I just do it only for that, okay? All right, so I say we only do that when we double team, okay, in A-gap run and et cetera and so on. I don't want to get too far into that, okay? But the trick is don't do this unless you're doing it against a moving person, okay? When you do it with medicine balls, the problem is your feet of the defender are right under that ball, so he gets too aggressive, he gets across too quickly. But a guy in a 3-point stance, his feet are way back here. He's got to get his feet past you in order to turn the ball, okay? So we don't like, we practice it live, okay? That's the way it is. 1, 2, same bucket. And 3 gets us out of the bucket. Now remember, we're teetered already, okay? Okay, and that's I don't want to go here. That gets us out of the bucket, and it hopefully keeps us square. Now there's one more component to this that I just want to make sure and explain to you guys, okay? When I went back